2 and 3 of language, paper 1 today. I hope you'll find it useful. I am an examiner and English consultant for ACET. So it's my job really to make sure I know how to move people up to the next grade. I'm going to present my screen now. I hope you managed to download the supporting documents like the workbook. And the workbook goes through question 1 in quite a lot of detail in the first few pages, because you know that's the information retrieval question, and that's the easiest one for 4 marks, so you shouldn't really need me to be working through that. Okay, people who've just joined the group, I am recording it and I will be posting it to the shared area later, so if you don't want to comment, that's fine, and I won't ask you to answer any questions. Okay, just let me know if you can't see the screen, but otherwise I will get going. So we're going to whiz on through question 1 today, and I'm going to assume that you know how to do it, and we're going to be going to question 2 and hopefully into question 3 today. So our word of the day is sibilant, and it's an adjective to describe a sound with lots of S's in. So often if somebody's describing a snake, you'll get that S sound. The snake slithered across the sandy floor to mimic that S that it makes. If you wanted to create a relaxing atmosphere, you might use sibilants and make the sound sibilant. If you were describing the seaside, you could put the sea swished against the shore softly to mimic the sound of the waves on the shore, that shh sound like that. So that's our word of the day. I will get this going so we can see some questions. Okay, so I will ask the questions, but then I don't expect you to answer in the chat because I'm recording. I will just give you a minute to, well, a few seconds to have an answer, and I'll tell you the answers. So how long do you have for this paper? Paper 1, it is 1 hour and 45 minutes. I hope you know that. How many inserts do you have to read on paper 1? It's just the 1, okay? Just the 1 insert. It's paper 2 where we've got the 2 inserts. What does question 1 of this paper ask you to do? Well, it asks you to identify 4 things you learn from the first paragraph, okay? And it'll say, tell me 4 things you learn about the location, or 4 things you learn about the character, something like that. Now, what is a verb? Now, there's a reason I'm asking these questions, because we're looking at question 2 today, which is the language question. So we're just going to sort of revise some language devices. What is a verb? A verb is typically known as a doing word, okay? So it can be any words that end with ing. I am running, I am skipping, I ran, I skipped, I will skip, I will run. So the run is the verb. But if I also said, I am happy, am is your verb. And obviously you're not amming, are you? I aming happy, but that's still the verb. Okay, so it's a doing word, but writers often choose verbs for effect. I'm just keeping an eye on my dog because she's about to have puppies any day, and she's actually nesting in the corner while I'm working. Are you, Daisy? Yes. I shouldn't talk to her. She'll want to force. What is an adjective? Well, an adjective, sibilant, is describing that sh sound. So an adjective is a describing word. So the red book, the describing word is red, and obviously writers choose adjectives very carefully to create the kind of atmosphere that they want. What is a noun? I've got some scissors here because I do sewing in this room. I've got a really exciting life. Scissors, okay, that's a noun. It's a name of something. Candle, cup, yeah, so nouns. What is an adverb? Well, an adverb is children tend to say that it ends in ly. Okay, so I ran quickly, I ran slowly, but it doesn't always end in ly, does it? Because you could say I ran fast, and that's not an ly, is it? But it still modifies the sentence. I ran. That's just what I did. Okay, but I ran quickly. That's an adverb, and it modifies the sentence. I ran yesterday. Still an adverb, modifies the sentence. I ran until I was tired. Until I was tired. Your until is your adverb, and it's an adverbial phrase at the end. Put an adverb into this sentence. The boy sang. And your adverb could be yesterday, angrily, happily, quietly, loudly, at last. Lots of different ones. So might help you to think about what an adverb is by looking at that. It modifies the sentence, gives you more information about it. Where is the verb in this sentence? White Fang growled fiercely. So we know the verb is growled because White Fang, the dog at the story we looked at before half term, he is growling. So White Fang growled fiercely. And we could, of course, just have White Fang growled. But we've got the adverb that modifies the sentence there, which is fiercely. Okay, so we've got that adverb on the end as well. And where is the adjective in this sentence? This strange god that came from that White Fang extract. And of course, strange is the adjective. Okay, so this is just a little bit of a rundown to let you know how many marks you need from the last time we marked nationally to get a grade 4 and beyond. Okay, so in June 2019, the last set of summer exams that went ahead as normal, students needed to attain 38 marks on paper 1 and paper 2 to be awarded a grade 4. So there are 80 marks for the whole paper, and you've got to get 38 marks on paper 1 and 38 marks on paper 2 to get into that grade 4. So just keeping an eye on my dog again. I hope he doesn't go and give birth while we're actually teaching. So question 1 is 4 marks, okay? And you know you've got to get 38. So we've got to be able to get those 4 marks really quickly, 5% of the paper. Question 2 that we're going to look at in a minute, that's 8 marks with 10% of the paper. So you'd obviously have 12 marks if you got those, right? I mean, let's think we could get half marks quite easily. So 8 marks from the question 1 for 4 marks, question 2 for 4 marks, and question 3 structure, another 8 marks, 10%. So say if we got 4 for question 3, 4 for question 2, and 4 for question 1, we're already at 12 marks out of the 38 that we need to get there. And the reason I'm saying half marks is because quite surprisingly, when we mark for the whole country, when I mark, as an examiner, it's not very often that people get over half marks. I mean, obviously you do want to aspire to try and get better marks, but I'm just saying it, if we can get half marks, we're doing well. And if we can get more than that, we're doing even better. Okay. And that'd be fantastic if you can. I really hope that you can. It's not difficult as long as you know what to do for each one. And another thing I'd like to point out over here, the difference between the bands. So there's a U to 9 there. Okay. So if I was going to get a grade 1, I've got to get 10 more marks before I can get into a grade 2. So I've got to get 8 marks to get a grade 1, 18 marks to get a grade 2, another 10 marks to get a grade 3, another 10 marks to get into a grade 4. But then when you're into the grade 4, I've only got to move on 5 marks to get to a question 5, and so on. 5 marks more for a question 6, and so on. Okay, so you can see actually that it's when you've got over that grade 4 boundary, it's quite quick to move up the grades. Just moving on now to some language devices, noun phrases. All right, this is an expanded noun phrase on the screen, and our text that we're looking at today is concerned with Brighton. So we've got a noun phrase is some adjectives, 2 adjectives or more, and a noun. So yummy cold ice cream. We've got those 2 adjectives, yummy and cold, and ice cream is a noun. Okay, so a noun phrase is yummy cold ice cream. If I'm making it an expanded noun phrase, I can put a determiner on and it will specify like how many, like lots of yummy cold ice cream. So that's an expanded noun phrase now. A great abundance of yummy cold ice cream. There wasn't a lot of very yummy cold, I'm putting more on now, yummy cold ice cream. Okay, so let's see if we can think of some noun phrases to describe that image there of Brighton Pier. And you have a think. So I've got cool blue sea, cool blue adjectives, and sea is the noun. Just have a think about it just for 1 minute. Have a think. What can you think of? Okay, hope you've thought of some. I can see fluffy white clouds. I can see exciting, enchanting, helter-skelter, deep red paint on the building, shiny white paint on the railings, happy, excited people, deep blue sky. Did I say that one? Cool azure sky, because I want to be quite adventurous with my adjectives. See if you can have a think. If you want to go back to this PowerPoint or go in the workbook, it's in there. So I've been talking about all of these language devices because for question 2, what we need to do is explain the language that the writer has used. So the question will be something like, how has the writer used language to describe the character as a bad person? Or how has the writer used language to describe Brighton as a lovely place? And we've got to look for our language terminology, right? So the 3 bullet points there explain what we've got to do to hit the points to get all the marks that we can. We've got to use terminology in our point in response to this question. So I've got a table there. Can we think of any language terms? Now, by language terms, I mean methods like similes, and I can also talk about word classes. Okay, so methods, I could talk about similes, alliteration, metaphors, symbolism, like in Macbeth. You get points for that as well for using the terminology. Motifs, the motif of blood in Macbeth. Imagery, sensory writing. So I might use my 5 senses to create an image for you. So 2 very closely linked there. Imagery is where you're creating a picture in the writer's head. I'm sure you can think of loads more. Okay. Language devices. Now, it's not structure. It's not about the shape. It's just about the words that I'm using to describe, or the words that the writer's using to describe. And of course, when I'm writing, I'm choosing word classes, aren't I? So I'm choosing whether I'm going to write about the candle or not. Am I going to say the candle with the adverb? Can't think of an adverb for it now. I bought the candle yesterday. So yesterday would be the adverb. Bought would be the verb, and so on. But I'm choosing word classes, words within those word classes carefully when I'm writing. And you know that when you do any writing, especially on the computer, you delete, you go back, you try and make it better, because you're choosing your words very carefully. All right, so we've got to explain how the writer's chosen those words, what words they are. We support it with evidence, and then we explain what impression that word choice gives the reader and why the writer wanted to do that. Okay, what impression does the word choice give the reader, and why did the writer want to do that? There are key things we've got to explain. So our question is, look in detail at this extract from lines 4 to 11 of the source, and I'm going to go and read it. They came in by train from Victoria every 5 minutes. Now, just to give you some context then, we're at Brighton. It's an extract from Brighton Rock, if you weren't in the first lesson where we read it through. And the character works for a newspaper, and there's a competition in the newspaper where people have to look at the photo of the man in the newspaper, and then if they spot him at the holiday resort, like Brighton, they go up to him and say, "You are," and whatever the person's name is in the paper, they called it Collie Kibler, "and I claim my prize." And then you would win the prize of £1,000 or whatever. So this man is standing around in Brighton waiting for somebody, his name's Hale, to identify him and claim their prize from the newspaper. Obviously, they might not identify him. So this is in the student workbook as well. They came in by train from Victoria Station in London every 5 minutes, rocked down Queen's Road, standing on the tops of the little local trams. So I'm imagining the local trams rocking from side to side. Stepped off in bewildered multitudes into fresh and glittering air. So these people that get off these little trams that they've taken from the train station, and they're bewildered. They're like, they don't know where they are. And that's a good adjective, isn't it, to describe them? Into fresh and glittering air. So 2 adjectives there to describe the air in comparison to the London air. The new silver paint sparkled on the piers. The cream houses ran away into the west like a pale Victorian watercolour. Look at this. Think of this imagery that's being created in your head by the writer. A race in miniature motors, a band playing, flower gardens in bloom below the front. So we've got a list of things here. That's a method, a list of different things that are being shown. An aeroplane advertising something for the health in pale vanishing clouds across the sky. So we're getting lots of imagery built up here, getting lots and lots of imagery. I've got a flower garden, I've got the picture of the cream houses, I've got new silver paint sparkling on the piers, the air is fresh and glittering, I've got a multitude of people arriving, that noun there to describe how many people are arriving here. So the question is, how does the writer use language here to describe Brighton on that day? Now, we've got quite a lot of things already from that first paragraph, haven't we? Let's go on to the next slide. So we'll go look a bit more closely at some of the sentences. The new silver paint sparkled on the piers. Right, so new silver, 2 adjectives before the noun of paint. The noun phrase there, well, the adjective new, so I'm going to break the noun phrase down, suggests care and hard working to keeping the environment fresh and keeping Brighton an appealing place for people to go. And the adjective of silver suggests something attractive, luxurious, like you're spoiling yourself when you're on holiday. Everything's made to look really lovely for the people that are going there on holiday. I bet that's a bit different to Brighton these days. I've not gone for a long time. The verb sparkled suggests that the paint's brand new. It's glittering, it's luxurious, it's attractive, it's fun. It's like a diamond almost. The more you can pull apart these language devices and squeeze out as much information as you can, you're going to get the higher grades. Okay, that's the way to get over the halfway mark, to make your explanations nice and long. Fresh and glittering air. So we've got the adjective of fresh describes Brighton air as pure, reviving, and it's in contrast to the London air that came from Victoria Station. So in London, you can imagine then that it's going to be quite heavy and dull and, not very fresh at all. But this holiday resort, it's fresh, it's cool, it's reviving, good for you. Glittering, the adjective suggests the air is almost alive. Something special in it, something valuable about it. There's a sense of excitement in it. Yeah, so squeeze out that meaning. The cream houses ran away into the west like a pale Victorian watercolour. While this simile suggests that the scene is beautiful, like an old painting. In contrast to London, so we're not going to get a scene of cream houses, are we? And that adjective of cream makes you think of a beautiful kind of chocolate box image, doesn't it? Beautiful houses. And they're like a pale Victorian watercolour, again in contrast to London. And that simile of it being like an old-fashioned watercolour suggests the scene's beautiful, an old painting, but probably something that you don't get anymore except for in Victorian paintings. So if you go to Brighton, you get in a place that's almost hard to find these days. You're getting something quaint, old-fashioned, beautiful. And we've got that list of things we can see. A race in miniature motors, so in miniature cars taking part in a race together. A band playing. Flower gardens in bloom below the front. So a race in little cars, that sounds quite fun, doesn't it? And quite unusual, quite exciting, entertaining. A band playing, I can hear that. Okay, so I've got that sensory writing coming in now. Flower gardens in bloom, so some things that I can see, and the verb in bloom, yeah, it makes me think that they're just at their best point. So it looks really nice. People have taken a lot of care to make it attractive. It's just a lovely place to be. You want to go on holiday there. And we've also got an aeroplane advertising something for the health in pale vanishing clouds across the sky. Right now, I've got a noun phrase there of pale vanishing clouds. And that makes me think it's a perfect sky. In fact, if there are any clouds, they're disappearing. I could even say that's like people's lives from London. It's like a metaphor for their lives of London disappearing away like clouds, if I wanted to go for those higher grades. But otherwise, I could just think it's like a paradise, isn't it? The sky is perfect. It's good weather. The clouds are clearing. Sounds really beautiful. And also, we've got a plane going over the top with one of those banners hanging out the back. Whenever you do see one, you think, oh, what's that say? It's quite unusual, isn't it? So that imagery of the plane sounds almost dreamlike, like something quite exciting and unusual happens. And also for good advertising something for the health. The health, that noun, makes me think that people are coming to Brighton for their health. They're coming to feel better. Right. Now, try to write your own response to the question in your answer booklet. Right, so I'm going to just come out of this and I will model and answer how I would write it. So the writer has used A, and let's just go back up to that very first one that I said. Where is it? The new silver pane. Right, I'm going to use that quote. And it's a noun phrase, isn't it? Has used a noun phrase to describe Brighton as a very appealing place. Appealing means like it's attractive. And I'm going to then put my quote in, and it's got to be in speech marks by describing the quote now. Sorry, everybody. Let me have a look. The new silver paint that sparkled on the piers. I'm going to cut and paste that. Copy. You can take that down there. And obviously you'd type it in. Pop it in there. Oops, I shouldn't have done it that way, should I? Let me do it another way. By describing and I've got to put it in speech mark, the new silver paint. And then if I want to just put a that in, on this keyboard, I'm trying to find it now, I'm just going to put it in square brackets like that to show the examiner they're my words, right? Not, I didn't get it from the text. So the writer has used a noun phrase to describe Brighton as a very appealing place by describing the new silver paint that, my word, sparkled on the piers. This suggests, and I'm going to change it to the first adjective of new suggests that Brighton is a place that is well cared for, and that there is a lot of money spent on keeping the resort looking attractive and clean. Yeah. The adjective of silver suggests that the resort is made to look attractive and luxurious, almost like something valuable for the holiday makers that go there. The new silver paint suggests that it is an attractive place to visit, and a lot of care is taken over it. I've probably repeated myself a little bit there. I'm sure you can think of a better way to do it, but that is a good first paragraph. Okay, I could extend it again, one word from the evidence, but I've kind of already delved into it, haven't I? And so I'm going to delete that now, because I did explore new and I explored silver. Okay, and I tried to extend my explanations beyond one sentence. So the whole of my explanation now is in blue, isn't it? And see that my explanation is quite long. And by pulling apart meaning from your words, it's going to help you extend that explanation. So for over half marks, you could try and think of an alternative way that somebody might view it. Okay. So, I don't know, silver, you might say it's a precious object, like a jewel, that people really, lots of people want. Right, so I'm going to go to the next one then. So the writing, so I want to aim for about 3 paragraphs of that length to be getting over half marks. And probably for about half marks, I want about 2 paragraphs like that. If you only write 1, you're probably only going to get about 1 or 2, well, 2 marks, 2 to 3 marks. Okay, so we want to see 2 to 3 paragraphs like that. And I know that's a real challenge when you've got a lot to do. And the question's worth 8 marks. I would recommend that you give a minute for every mark and then half again, right? So it's 8 marks. So give yourself 8 minutes and then half again, 4 minutes. So 8 and 4, give yourself 12 minutes to write this. So to get 3 paragraphs down like that in 12 minutes, it's quite a challenge, especially when you've got to keep doing the whole paper. So, you know, just do as much as you can. Keep an eye on the clock, though. Don't go over 12 minutes. And I'll do another one. So the writer has used, what else can I say? What was the next one? It's there. Fresh and glittering air. Right, we've got some adjectives. Where is that? So the writer has also used adjectives to describe Brighton. as very appealing for holiday makers. When I'm going to put as the air is fresh. Oh no, I can't put it like that. As the air is fresh and glittering. I only really want to use their words, and I want to keep my evidence quite short as well. I don't want it too long. And now, right, let's go into each one. The adjective of fresh suggests. Right, let me move this up here, and I'm going to turn it blue. Let's get rid of that. Just turn that blue so you can see it's my explanation. The adjective of fresh, which needs to be either in inverted commas or speech marks, suggests that the air is healthy, and unpolluted, which suggests that Brighton is a place that is good for your health. Now I'm going to extend it again by saying that's in contrast to London. This is in direct contrast to London, the place where the holiday makers have arrived from. Actually, I do need a hyphen in between that because it becomes a compound noun. That'll be for another day. Because the place where the holiday makers have arrived from, which would be, what's the opposite of fresh? Which would be polluted and I can't think of a word for opposite of fresh, which will be polluted and unhealthy. Suggesting that Brighton is a wonderful place, wonderful and different place for these people to visit. Now, one word from the evidence. I'm just going to go into another one. I'll put furthermore. The adjective of glittering suggests that the air is full of excitement and holds an atmosphere of what is it like when you're on holiday? I don't want to use the word excitement again. An atmosphere of enjoyment and I can't think. I'll put where people are looking to have fun. And then I'm going to expand that again. This also suggests that people there are happy and there is a very positive atmosphere. Right, got there in the end. Right, so for this answer, I've probably got about 4 or 5 marks from that because I've pulled it apart quite a lot. Right, so about 4 or 5 marks out of 8 for that. Probably, if I was going to go for the 6, 7, 8 marks, that third paragraph would really make it. Okay, so that is how you answer a question 2 on the language paper. So I hope that's helped you today. We've done 36 minutes there. So I think what I'll do now is stop the recording. We'll look at structure tomorrow instead. And I'll upload this onto the shared area for you so you can rewatch the video if you want to. Okay, so thanks everybody for joining in. I hope it was helpful to you. I'll see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock again. And if you're not able to make it, don't worry, because I will upload the video straight afterwards as well. All right. So thanks everybody for joining in. You're free to go now. So you're welcome, Isabel. Thank you very much. You're welcome, Noah. Thank you.